Man of the Prize podcast, Harvey, I'm back. How are you? I'm blessed as usual to have another man to talk with. Drew is on the pod. How are you this week? What's going on, Seth?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm alive. I'm walking the streets. That's all you
Yes,
can really
sir.
ask for, man. So I'm feeling good. And I'm
I
glad
hear
I'm
you.
getting to talk to you. So thank you
Yeah.
for giving me your time. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you having me on.
No, this is good. So as usual, I start every episode the same way. I am an expert in one thing, that is being me, being the man that I am. But what this podcast is an opportunity, a space for our men to talk about our feelings, emotions, how we feel living in this world, hopefully releasing whatever's in your body, whatever's kind of holding you down. And I hope this leads to good things. So these conversations hopefully will lead to maybe get something bubbling inside, and how you handle it is important. So if it's something that's been bothering you and you haven't spoken to anybody about it, take this opportunity to find someone, a friend, a mentor, a colleague, a therapist, someone. The worst thing we men can do is hold on to any trauma, anything that's held us back. So feel free to release. I can't diagnose because I'm not trained at this, but what this is an entertaining conversation between men to hopefully open up our hearts and our minds. So I hope that's what this episode does for you. And again, if you need help, find somebody to talk to. It's the single best thing that you can do. Getting things off your chest, it's a beautiful thing. And with that, we shall begin. Drew, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. First thing I do is everybody's already heard your bio, but if you could give me a quick 20-second bio specifically about you, give me something real quick right now.
So, who is Drew? So, Drew, I am an energetic, positive, big smile from ear to ear kind of guy. I want to light up a room when I walk in, when I light up someone's day, whenever the case may be. So, I'm all about positive vibing, good vibes, and just want to help people. And I want people to be as happy as I may look at the same time as well. So, I think that's me. I think that's one thing that really does stand out about me.
That's good. Good definition. Good vibe. I like that. That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And hopefully we're going to kind of find out how you became that guy.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that with the mantra, P.R.I.Z.E, P-R-I-Z-E, something I came up with that I feel that kind of has a few of the characteristics that a good man should have. And we'll kind of talk about it. First letter in the word prize is the letter P, and that represents purpose, defined as reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So what is your purpose?
So I'm only 25, so I'm still young. So I feel like my purpose will change as I evolve as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I got put on this earth to heal, to relate, and to help people. And I realized that was my purpose. And I want to say probably around 19 or 20 when I started to do group fitness training.
Okay.
So I was in school for exercise science and health promotion, and I started to coach at Orange Theory in our city. And I realized at such a young age of the impact I had on just smiling at people, asking, how are you? Or making their day, or giving little personal touches and stuff like that. And I didn't realize the impact I made until I left Orange Theory. That was 4.5 years after working there. So that was summer of 2020, peak COVID. And I left, and I probably had a good 50 or so members right on a dry erase board and just let their gratefulness and gratitude towards me. And this board's probably, I don't know, 3 feet by 3 feet. And I'm like overwhelmed because as a coach, if others who are listening, if you're a coach, you'll hear when your clients are like, thank you so much, that was great. But you never know the impact you can make.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, 2020, I was only 22, 23 years old. So hearing that from people double my age, it was breathtaking. I didn't think I had that kind of outreach at that age and how young I was. So I think I'm put on this earth to heal, to help, and make someone's day just a little bit better at the same time as well.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Did you have a Drew growing up?
Not so much. And I knew you were going to ask this question because I know back to the other episode, the thing, Shane. So shout out to Shane.
Mm-hmm.
You asked him. Well, I think you actually told him that you feel like you became the person you needed when you were younger. And I feel like I'm becoming that. Growing up, both my parents were Jamaican immigrants when they came here to the US. And y'all know Caribbean people, they're a little rough emotionally wise.
Right.
They don't really talk about the stuff that makes them uncomfortable or the stuff that makes them sad. It's kind of like wipe your tears, out your chest, and let's keep moving on. So growing up in my teens, I became a hothead. Anger started to fly. I was a young teenage boy. I started to play football. So my aggression was starting to show on and off the field. And my mom always told me this, and I don't blame her for it, but I think that's what she felt was accurate at the time was don't let it bother you. And now I'm 25 now, I'm almost 10 years. I'm like, don't bother you sticks with me. I don't respond to stuff. Or I'm like, oh, it doesn't bother me. I put it in. But it almost makes me to like a tea kettle, which is a goodness. I'll hold it on and I'll hold it on and I'll hold it on. And then that tea kettle starts to make its noise.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until I was maybe 22, 23. And it wasn't just solely on me when I noticed that. It was along with my girlfriend. My girlfriend was a big emotional help for me during that time. And I feel like I'm becoming a person who will reach out to his boys. You good? What's going on? Talk to me. How you feeling and stuff like that. Because I feel like young guys my age, we don't really talk about that stuff. It's more about school, your job, or getting the next girl you want to bag and stuff like that.
Right.
So I feel like I'm becoming that person. Not yet, but I know I'm in that process.
Okay. Good. All right. So you're becoming, excuse me. So you're becoming that person.
Yeah.
If you could describe that person that you are looking to become, when that person is fully formed, what kind of person is he? Give me an idea. Give me characteristics. What kind of person is he?
I think it's a person who unapologetically would just be himself. If something bothers him, whether it be from his superior, from his friend, from a significant other, from family, he'll just say it. He won't necessarily just blow up and say it, but he'll say like, hey, I don't like that. That bothered me. Or hey, how you went about that wasn't right. It made me feel some type of way. And I struggle to this day with that kind of action. Can I speak up? Can I say, hey, this bothers me? But growing up, like I said, don't let it bother you. Don't react. And it sticks and it's hard. And it's such an easy thing to do for some people. But for me, it's like getting over a hill without any equipment or anything like that. So I think the person I want to become is someone who is just raw and he keeps it a buck and he keeps it real with himself and to his others. That they say, hey, if Drew feels some type of way, he'll let someone know as well.
That's good. That's good. That's how we're raised as men. If you really think about that, we're not, well, I've always found it ironic. As men, I think naturally in our genes, we're problem solvers. So things come up and we're trying to deal with it. We're trying to fix a situation. But the only real situation that we're never really, ever really trying to fix is ourselves.
I strongly agree that.
Seriously, I mean, you with the girl, you have your girl, your wife, or whatever. She comes home, bad day, and she tells you this, and you're kind of listening, but you're really like, okay, how do we fix this? What are we doing? Blah blah blah. But do we ever sit down and say, you know what? I've been having a hard week, and I'm starting to snap at my girl, and I'm starting to just be rude to you. Were we ever raised to be like, what do I do about that?
Yeah.
Everything that's happening, I'm not fixing it. Let me just push it further down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how we're raised. So what you're becoming, it sounds really deep, but to me, you're just being a fully formed man.
Exactly. And I strongly, so me and my girlfriend been together for 6 years. It'll be 7 years in November.
Right.
And I feel like I'm at a point in relationship that I know when she comes home and she may have a bad day. And I'm like, honey, I'm gonna keep it real honest with you. I emotionally can't be there right now. Mm. There's days, and look, to this day, I don't vocalize what bothers me. So there's days I may just be taking on too much, or my day started early from training a client, going to work, going to the gym, tending to her needs. And I'm like, I have to disconnect to recharge my batteries, refuel my tank, find my inner peace again, rebalance it, and then come tend to her needs. And I told her, I'm like, I can't tend to you if I'm on half a tank or I'm running low on E. Because then, like you said, we run hot, we're snippet, we kind of give these short jabs and stuff like that. And I caught myself in that moment, like, what am I mad about? Is it her? Or is it something I'm fighting internally, or is it's an external force that's fighting myself and then now it's fighting my relationship? So I strongly agree with that for sure.
It's true. It's interesting. how we've been raised really has a lot of effect on how we deal with ourselves,
Hmm.
obviously with relationships, with colleagues, anybody, because we just, I don't know, we act. A lot of times we don't think about how we're acting, we just act.
Yep.
And therein lies, it's just instinct. I'm not supposed to be mad about something, or I can be mad, but I'm not supposed to show you. So it's really interesting how we as men, and that's why I like this
Hmm.
idea, just talking about it.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
keep
you.
going. We go to R, we go to resilient, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So you dipped a little bit into that, in your childhood. Give
Hmm.
me a situation, something that happened in your life where you discovered or you found your resilience.
So I actually have it tattooed on my inner arm. So my tattoo says, "Meeting adversity well is the source of strength." So a little backstory on that. I think it was, I want to say in that 2020 year, my mom made a decision that she wanted to move to Port St. Lucie. Now, this is after my parents I got divorced. It's me, my mom, my older sister, and my little brother are all living in my niece living in one apartment. And she just needed to leave the county to get further away from my dad and kind of give herself a restart. But in that moment, it kind of felt like mama was telling me, get out, figure it out. I was 22, turning 23 at that time. Now, I wanted to move out, but I wasn't ready yet. And I felt some animosity towards my mom. I'm like, why are you kicking me out knowing that I'm not financially ready to be on my own? So I remember one night we're eating takeout Chinese food, me and the girlfriend, and open my fortune cookie, and it says this quote. And it's such an ironic timing because I'm feeling all these emotions and I'm feeling like, is my mom putting me out to the curb, or is she really just trying to make me be a man, stereotypically and stuff like that?
Right.
And at that time, I'm in my last semester of college. I'm in my senior year. I started a new job and I'm moving out with my little brother, and he's not really working because he's in the middle of fire school. So I'm really have to put up probably 3,000, maybe $3,500 for first, last, and security. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I overcome this little obstacle that's in my way right now? So I had that fortune cookie in my phone case for a while, and I read it and I read it and I read it, and I overcome it. I moved out. I got a new job. Me and the girlfriend progressed, and I made this big leap as a young man in his 20s that, hey, I can do it. So I overcame that obstacle. And I think a year later on Black Friday, I got this tattoo because I'm like, okay, this is part of me. So anytime I feel like the pressure's on or someone's foot's on my back, I'm like, hey, meeting adversity well is a source of strength. We got to keep it pushing. So that's my answer to that. And I look at it and it reminds me day after day. I just got to meet it well and keep my head up.
It's good. I think at every point we men, at some point, something happens. I've always hated this, it's time to be a man type of thing.
Yeah,
It annoys me because it's such a general term, but that phrase means literally something different to every single man, every guy.
absolutely.
It's
Hmm.
something different. And then when it's said to you, how mature are you, or do you have the ability or the possibilities to be a man and whatever?
Yeah.
There's so much to it. There's so much wrapped in it, and it seems so simplistic. But you have to be in the situation to truly appreciate that.
Hmm.
So getting out there, and it turns out it's a good thing. Kind of getting out from under your parents and
Yeah.
taking
And
care of yourself can
it
only
gave
help,
me
right?
it gave me independence, and it made me realize how much more self-efficient I could become. Now, growing up, my parents ran their restaurant and grocery stores. So they were gone during the day from 7 a.m. to 8, 9 p.m. So I get up early for school, make my breakfast, pack my bag, make sure my homework was in there, pack my duffel bag for sports and track or whatever it was after school. Came home, made my dinner, got a shower, and I told them about my day. So that self-efficiency was already embedded in me.
Mhm.
By choice, not so really. I had to. I had to be self-efficient. So growing up and actually, in a way, cutting that umbilical cord, some people could say,
Mhm.
I realized I'm like, oh, it's just not that hard. So now that I'm older and I look back at it, my mom gave me that push to be fully independent and rely on myself. Was the approach and the delivery good? I mean, another conversation. But
Right.
at the end of the day, I look back at it and I'm like, hey, you made me a better young man. as well.
That's good. So you mentioned that you're a trainer, and I want to ask what or how does resiliency work when you're dealing with I guess a customer?
Mhm.
Is that something you can instill in someone, or is that something that you find when you're getting somebody to be in shape? How is that characteristic beneficial to somebody who's trying to get physically in good shape?
It's very situational. Some clients that I've had have already found it. They've already found that will to want to get it done, to transform their body and mentally as well. Some people just may not have the tools to form a workout or actually formulate a structured program for themselves. So that's when I'll come in and stuff like that. But I'll have the people who don't have any of that. So I do have to dig, I have to push a little bit, and I do have to kind of chip at that stone little by little to kind of form the person they want to be. And then in that process, it's pushing them to be uncomfortable and really fighting them. And it's also sharing my own trials and tribulations that got me to where I was. Because no one becomes chiseled and ripped and strong overnight. I remember being in my teens and being 5'5" like I am now, but 110, 115 pounds. Football was rough. I got knocked down day after day by the varsity team. But and when I tell my clients, I just worked at it. I did my push-ups every night. I did sit-ups every night. I make sure I put my work in the weight room and stuff like that now. I'm the same height, but I'm a whole another 60 pounds more dense and more mature in muscle and stuff like that. So when I talk to my clients, I'm like, look, it's not gonna happen today, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, it's not gonna happen next week, but it will happen. It's a marathon. It's literally a marathon. And I like to use that in all aspects, whether it be dealing with adversity, working out, dealing with business and school and stuff like that. It's all a marathon.
Okay. What's harder, getting yourself physically in good shape or getting yourself mentally in good shape?
I think mentally, I feel like I'm gonna speak for myself right now.
Hmm.
There are days I get up and I train my client, I head back home, cook my lunch, make my breakfast, get my bag ready for the day. I go work my 8 hours and it's 5 o'clock and I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. But I have my goals written down of whether how much I want to squat, how much I want to exercise, or the weight I want to move for the day, or I'll write out my workout for the day. And I'm like, hey, I got a goal in mind. So the mental aspect or the determination, the discipline comes in that I need to do it, not for my physical self, but mentally. Can I mentally challenge myself even though the day's been shit? Because I feel like you look at the gym goers, you have your 5 a.m., you have your 8 a.m. people, you got your midday, you got your 5 p.m. people. I feel like your 5 p.m. and your 5 a.m. people were your go-getters who are mentally disciplined to get up or leave work after an 8-hour, 10-hour shift and say, I want to go push myself even more before the day starts or even after the day is done. So I think mentally getting yourself in shape is more of a battle, and it trickles down to getting yourself physically in shape as well.
All right. So I would imagine that as you're getting yourself into shape, you would write down maybe your workout or what you're trying to do with your plans.
If you look at my notepad in my phone right now, I have written out every workout since I want to say summer of 2020. I've written out every workout. So it's in the few hundreds, but I do it because one, I could track it. So I know I'm actually progressing.
Right.
Two, I can see how me intellectually, my workout selection and my workout programming has advanced because I'm getting wise, I'm getting smarter with it.
Right.
And also I'm just getting more disciplined. I see the frequency has increased as well. Just day in, day out, same day, same times and everything.
If you could write a plan out on building your mental health, what would it look like if you had to write one for today?
I would say, well, let's say we'll put it through someone like a 24 hours. I think waking up and setting intentions and giving gratitude. That'll be one thing. You got to wake up and be like, all right, I got to wake up today. Not too many people get to wake up, unfortunately. And even I've seen family members go in their sleep. So waking up, give gratitude. All right, I did it. I got up today. What do I want to accomplish today? From there, just knock it out one thing at a time. From there, maybe disconnect for a little bit and kind of talk to your inner self, talk to the little person in your head that's sitting at the desk or sitting at home, and it's just you. And I think now looking at like from a whole week perspective, I think just having days to yourself. I mentally need days just to myself, whether it be to clean the apartment, go to the gym, do my mobility and stretching, or just even just kicking it with the boys. I think having a mental day to disconnect from just the routine and kind of step out of your body and look at yourself from a bird's eye view, step out of the routine and be like, this is what people need to do on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis to be mentally fit, you know? And I see weeks that go by that I don't do those. And I'm like, oh man, I'm starting to get tense. Things are bothering me. Traffic, I'm yelling at traffic. Like, why am I yelling at traffic when I can't control traffic, you know? So taking those days to myself allows me to take those batteries out, recharge them, put a fresh pack in, and I'm going again.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I know as a trainer, it's important that you get out there. I think people don't recognize or realize just how important really working on yourself is. And I think if we treat it as seriously as we treat working out, that we would benefit from it. If you wake up and you've got this plan, this is what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna take 20 minutes and I don't know, I'm just gonna meditate, or I'm just gonna think about what I've done. I'm gonna plan. I'm gonna sit there and be like, you know, I've had a good week. And affirm yourself. If there were steps to it, I feel like it would help. And then obviously a person who feels good is better in every way. That person's gonna have a better workout. Yeah. So I feel like we should treat our mental workout, our mental health, like we treat our physical health. And hearing you talk about, you know, the physical, it should be one and the same.
Exactly. It should be a buy one, get one, honestly.
Exactly.
Even during school, during our undergrad, I had a professor for my exercise leadership class. And this is like a class how to teach us how to program and how to be a trainer in a sense. And I remember like the first week, and he was like, all right, we're gonna meditate. I'm like, what, bro? Like, you're bugging. I'm like, no one's gonna sit here and meditate. But he's like, I'll give you extra credit if you guys want to meditate and stay an extra 15 minutes. I was like, hey, I ain't gonna turn out extra credit. So I sat there and I embraced that meditation. And I realized how clearer my mind was leaving that classroom. Because we've all been students in our life. Leaving school, your brain is like a backpack that has no folders. It's just packed in with a bunch of junk.
Right.
So it allows you to decompress, bring your heart rate down, kind of let your muscles relax, and you feel a little clear-minded. So I feel like in school and in my degree in exercise science, if they focus on the physical aspect of training, tied in with the mental, I feel like there'd be more adherence to exercising. We'll see as like a national standpoint, obesity and all that jazz will go down a lot because we're not doing it for our physical and our good looks. We're doing it for our mental and for our heart and for our brain at the same time.
Yeah. Good point. I hear that. And real quick, so obviously, you know my wife, and she's a dental hygienist. Yeah. And she's always told me that dentistry is almost disrespected versus, you know, medical, you know, the actual doctors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that a lot of the things that happen in our mouth, in our head, stuff like that, deal and affect a lot of other parts of our body and a lot of issues that we have. You don't have good teeth, there's a chance that you have high blood pressure. There's a lot of these things, and it's almost like it's a thing that we could deal with, but that we ignore. And dentistry, I feel like dentistry is that when it comes to like the rest. Like, oh, my teeth can be a mess, but my heart is what I need to deal with. When in actuality, if you kind of looked at your teeth and you took care of that, you'd be helping your heart. You'd be helping whether you're diabetic or not. There's a lot of things that we don't connect. And I think it would help us. But that's just something that came to mind when you were talking.
Yeah, so I strongly agree with that. Yeah, everything's interlinked.
Oh, exactly. And that's important. Everything's interlinked. We skip the I, we go to Z as we continue through the word P.R.I.Z.E. The word from Z is zeal, and that is enthusiastic devotion. I think I know the answer.
Yeah.
But what are you enthusiastically devoted to?
I love making someone's day. People ask me, Drew, do you have a bad day? And it's all outlook. I don't have bad days. You have bad moments within a good day.
Right.
That's it. I tell people all the time, you don't have a bad day, you just had a bad moment. I like so my job. So how we met at Restore Hyper Wellness, and I was a mobility specialist, but now I'm the assistant manager. I like when people come in, good morning, how you doing? Wow, what a great greeting. That gives me pleasure. That fulfills my heart. I love talking to people. Even when I was stretching people, I like to hear about people's day, what they do for exercise, what they deal with on their day-to-day basis and stuff like that. So it is fulfilling. It fills my heart. But on the other side of the coin, it's a lot to take it as well. I learned this a couple of years ago that the stuff I hear from people and their burden and their troubles and their trials and tribulations, I put it in my backpack, and it weighs me down. And those are the days I'm like, all right, let me disconnect, let me unplug. But yes, I truly enjoy making people happy, giving people a good greeting, getting people hyped, gassing them up, giving them compliments and stuff like that, because I feel that way. I feel that confident, that much inner peace. And I want everyone to feel that inner peace and that high self-confidence as well.
That's good. That's good. I mean, earlier you talked about growing up and you talked about your parents and eventually there was a divorce and such. This kind of characteristic of yours, this idea of making people happy around you, do you see any connection to that as a child growing up? Was there, I mean, you said your parents were out. Was there, yeah. I hear that and in my head, I'm like, was there conflict? And maybe your response was, you know what, I kind of try to cut it off by trying to make the situation lighter, happier. I mean, I could be entirely wrong, but is there any connection to that with the kind of person you've become later
on? Related to my parents' divorce, I wouldn't say not necessarily, but I do get it from my father.
Okay.
Growing up, remember, my dad has his business to this day since 1994. So I grew up in this business. Watching him greet his customers, share laughs, show them me, oh, this is my son. We're growing up in it. I want him to be just like me, or making people laugh and smile. That was a great characteristic trait that he gave to me. That, hey, if you're rich in heart, you're rich in life. And I think a lot of Islanders kind of share that mantra as well. And I stand with it. If innerly you are at peace, you love yourself, you can smile, look in the mirror and be like, hey, I love who I am. I love the process that I'm becoming. I'm loving who I was yesterday. I think you win almost half the battle on a day-to-day basis as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've worked in sales. I did for a long time. And one thing I learned, and I've never really enjoyed the job, but one thing I learned is that when you are selling something, you're not really selling the product.
No.
So no matter what business you have, you're not selling restaurant. I'm not selling the food. I have widgets. I'm not selling widgets. I'm selling me. Mm-hmm. Because if you like me, you will buy whatever I'm selling.
Absolutely.
And hearing you talk about you and your dad, that's an important part. And honestly, not even blowing smoke. When I first went into a store and we went with the wife and we're talking about stuff and like, yeah, stretch. And I'm like, oh, word, stretch. I could use a good stretch. And I've only had you do it. I haven't had anybody else do it. But like you were just excited is not even the word, because that sounds like I'm overstating it. You were just energetic. You were happy. And I'm like, okay, this is the dude that's gonna help me out. And it's really easy, simple stuff like that. Your personality, you very much stand out from the people around you. There's a real energy, a kind of happiness, and it's genuine, because I've done sales enough to know that there's some fake happiness being put out.
You can hear it, absolutely.
But you, I felt it. You could have been having a bad day, but when we were doing something, I felt like you were happy and you were enjoying the day. So I applaud you for that, because you made it easier. We spent some money in this place where he worked, and I felt okay with it, because I'm like, this man is helping me and helping other people. So I just want to say you're completely correct. You really do. You're light.
Thank you.
Sell them. You're gonna be running that place soon.
Yeah.
So make sure you take care
of it.
That's
funny. They've offered me that too. It's funny.
Okay.
But to your point, our hiring process, even when I was running our stretch department before it got dissolved, when I look at people my age who I'm hiring, and honestly, the questions I ask, you feel like someone 30 or 40 years old is asking those questions. And I literally ask this, I actually state this when I hire them and I give them their offer letter. So part of my French, I tell them when you clock in, you give a fuck. You have to. You have to clock in. You gotta care. Because imagine if you went to a store, to a restaurant, to a gym, and they didn't care about their job or how they cared about their business or how they made money. They didn't care how they did it. They just went about the motions. You will be unhappy. So I play that perspective all the time. I clock in, I care, I give my all, I make people happy. I can clock out and I can go to bed and possibly not wake up and say, hey, I did my best. I did what made me happy to make someone else happy. And I can lay good at night.
That's what's up. That's
Yep.
good. As we continue, we get to the last letter, but not the last part of the word prize.
Mhm.
E is for expectation. And that's defined as a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So you're young. You have so much of your life ahead of you. You have so much. You haven't really lived yet. You're still scratching the surface
Yeah.
into life. So with that said, what do you expect from yourself? So let's give you 3 spots. So in a year, where are you going to be? Who are you going to be? In 5 years, who are you going to be? What kind of person are you going to be? And where are you going to be that person? And in 10 years, where is Drew going to be? So take a second and what do you think
Yeah.
about those?
So within 1 year, in a nutshell, I want to be in physical therapy school. That's the big goal. That's my academic goal. That's what I have passion for. Now, the little steps I need to do to get to that, I have to do better with discipline. Academically, for me to sit down and study and read a book and stuff like that, that's hard for me. I need to be in a classroom. I need to use my hands, use my eyes, talk it out and stuff like that. That's how I learn more efficiently. So within the 1 year span, I want to work on that, those smaller skills of, in general, being more disciplined. I have the goal, but what blocks do I need to put to build that staircase to get to my goal? So that'll be my 1 year for sure. In addition to the baby girl, to my girlfriend, I do want to propose to her. So that's definitely a goal. That's actually the goal at the end of this year for sure. So Lauren's been my ride or die since 2015. She's helped me through some deep times, from college graduation to my parents divorcing, helped me move out and stuff like that. She's been through some monumental things. So I think in order to express my love to even a higher degree is to propose to her and make her my wife. So I definitely want that. So that'll be my 1 year goal. 5 years, I would say, obviously, I'm a physical therapist. I'm either working within my practice or I'm owning my own practice as well. Because I think do good at something, then become great at it, and then help other people be good at it. So I love to do that with my own workspace. Family, kids, obviously be married at that time, and just be more self-efficient and be, I don't know, just be a better machine of a person at the same time to kind of put in just in a nutshell. And then 10 years, I kind of will be kicking back and just looking back at everything like, all those long days in my 20s, those tirely days, those heavy bags, looking at my laptop and studying, and not going out, not getting drunk every weekend, or saying no to the stereotypical lifestyle of your 20s. It paid off. And I could travel, I could be there with my kids and help them with their homework or be at their sport games and stuff like that. So I kind of want to, in 10 years, in a sense, do what my parents taught me to do as a parent, but even do better as well. So I think that's how I would pick up my 1 and 5 and 10 year goals in a sense.
Sounds good. That's good.
Yeah.
I asked that question because we don't all plan things.
No.
And I feel like planning is a good thing. And I've had a guest or two who don't really plan ahead. You mentioned Shane. And I remember Shane, if you remember with him, because of the ADHD, planning is not really the thing for him. He doesn't really think that far ahead. So he's very much day to day. And that works for some people. But I think when you're at your age, when you're young and you have things that you want to do, being able to see it, to see the road, and to know the journey, I feel like it ends up working out. And not because you'll get to where you want to faster, but because you'll be prepared when something stops you at some point on that trip. Something's going to come in and mess with you. Something's gonna happen. And we want it to be straight, but we have to be prepared for some stuff to go down.
Bumpy road.
Bumpy road, something in a
and
relationship, a death. You don't get the job that you want. You're not doing well in school. And if you're just kind of single-minded and you're not prepared for that bump, it hurts.
Absolutely.
But if you're like, this is what I want to do, but at least you know what, I'm prepared for a right turn that's going to maybe take me a month to get back on and keep going. I feel like planning allows for preparation when things happen.
Yeah, and it's like a cliche quote. People are like, prepare to fail.
Exactly.
And trust me, I failed. I failed classes. I failed lips. I failed at football and stuff like that. I didn't really prosper in the way I wanted to on different track meets and stuff. But it builds character. And even to this day, I realize I relate more to people older than me than people my age. And I talk to a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s because I want to be where they're at. The PTs that I intern with, I talk to them like, what's your day-to-day? How was school? What did you do? How was your journey and stuff like that? I talk to entrepreneurs. I'm like, what would you tell me? Or what would you tell yourself at 25? Like, how can I do that? And I feel like I'm hungry for it. I may not have all the tools right now, internally and externally, to make myself to the person I need to be 10 years from now, or have the tools in order to implement now to build that person later. But at the same time, you can listen to all the advice, but it's all about application and just, you gotta want it.
Yep, that's it.
Such
a good point. Excellent point. Wanting to do it and doing it are two different things. You got to implement it. And when you have kids, you'll see it. You know me, I got a bunch. And you can be really intelligent. And of course, I'm biased. I have very intelligent children. But you have to apply yourself. And I always hated that growing up as a kid. You do so well, but you don't apply yourself until you have kids. And you see these smart ass kids not trying. And you're like, you're wasting this. You're wasting this opportunity. You're wasting the journey. You're wasting your intelligence. You're wasting your time. Because I had this conversation and the episode hasn't dropped yet, but it's like become my favorite term, and it's time management. And talk about time management, but not maybe in the way that you think. Time management is college. I got classes, I got work, I got school, I got all this stuff I have to do. Time management to me is and this is morbid, I don't know how much time I have left in this world.
Absolutely.
I could not, you said at the beginning, not everybody wakes up.
No.
I could not wake up tomorrow. I don't know how much time I have. So when I have time, I need to take advantage of it. You want to do physical therapy and you want to have your own practice, you go and you get it.
Yeah.
You want to start it because you may not be here in 3 years to do it. And we have to take advantage of time. And
Even
I
to
love that.
Recently we had a death in the family. My mom lost her little brother. He was young, 40. Lost him. Him and his girlfriend were kicking out his place. She went to the bathroom and came back. He was seizing on the floor. Oh no. So he had a bad gluten allergy, but it wasn't gluten related. And the autopsy report was somewhat inconclusive. Right. But here's what even broke my heart even more when my mom gave me that call. My grandmother's birthday's coming up in a few days, and 2 days before his death, he had booked that flight to come down to Florida from Canada to surprise his mom, surprise us, see his sister, see his nieces and nephews, because he kind of drifted out. He kind of got into a dark hole, started to drift away, didn't really reach out to everybody, but he was rebuilding himself. And he has a little boy, his son is now 5, and he was rebuilding, he was getting back on track. And when my mom told me, I broke down, because here we get caught up in some other stuff, or we get off track and we go down some dark path, and you just never know. It can be gone like that. So I try to be nice. I try to give thanks, say I love you. And I try to tell random strangers, I love you. I don't know if you ever heard of that word, but I'll joke when people leave, I'm like, hey, have a great day, love you. Some people hear it, some people don't. But people got to hear it. And if someone can hear that last thing before they go, hey, once again, I can go bed at night and I'm good. So to your point, time is limited. We don't know when time is. So if we make a better of each day, we're winning. We are winning.
Definitely. Definitely. You have a bright future ahead of you. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you.
as we finish off the prize parts, so the last part is the middle letter, and that's I. And for me, the P, the R, the Z, E represent good parts of a good man, characteristics, desires, things that we want to be, and the journey to get there. But to me, the I is the culmination of all of those things. So I'm going to try to figure out from you what the I is for you. And to me, the I is this. When I take off everything, you're not boyfriend, you're not employee, best friend, son, cousin, anything. When everything, every title is removed from you, and it's just you at your core, you at your essence, who are you?
I've been listening to your episodes, trying to piece it together, kind of how can I answer this question? And I may not answer it fully, but I think who I am, who is Andre Dewar, my full name. I think it's someone who truly wants to do better, may not necessarily have the tools at the moment, but he wants it. He wants it at every means possible. And I feel like to kind of paint the picture, I feel like I see myself painting myself. You know, I'm drawing out, and it may not be me tomorrow, may not be me next year, but it's someone, it's some version of me that I want to paint. So I think it's Andrew is someone who is constantly a work in progress. And he feels like that work in progress will never be done because are we ever done trying to be successful, perfect, and being truly us as well?
That's a great answer. I like that question. You've heard it, but I like it because you give the answer that I think is the best one. I don't know if I'm ever going to really know who I am.
Right?
So I feel like you said, it's a work in progress. And it may not even just be that I'll never know, but it might be that I thought I knew and turns out I wasn't. Then I found something else, but turns out I'm not that guy either. It might be this continuous metamorphosis where we think we're this, but we're not. And that's just growth. That's growing up. That's life is changing. And that, to me, that journey of trying to determine who you are is really the journey we're going through. And when you recognize that, you're good. Because, all right, as long as you're happy with who you are, that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
I like me. I don't know exactly what I am yet, but I like me.
Yeah, you can be content with who you are.
Yeah.
Are we ever satisfied?
Should you be satisfied?
Exactly. If you talk to Bezos, Brady, big time CEOs, you ask them how you get to where you were. I was never satisfied. I was content with yesterday, but tomorrow I'm gonna go get it.
Right.
Whether it be making more money, making a big sale, doing a better lift, or doing some kind of internal battle. It's just about internal battle. And I get this from Christian Guzman. He's the founder of Alphalete, an athletic apparel company out in Houston, Texas. Their motto, proud but never satisfied. And he puts it on all his walls throughout his gym. He puts it on his clothes and he lives by it. Proud, but I'm never satisfied.
Never ending journey to find yourself, man.
Absolutely.
I like that. So I think we covered the word prize, and I appreciate you answering those questions. I have 3 questions left for you. First question is this. What are you afraid of that you cannot control?
I would say external input external look. You can't control people's look on you. You can't. And I live by it. And I read a book, I think it was Mark Manson, I think it was the title, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I read at a time that I wanted to just do more self-development of myself. And he said, and he states it in every chapter, if it doesn't affect your income, the roof over your head, the food on your table, on the bed you lay in, he's like, it shouldn't matter. He's like, we're not saying to just be a cold-hearted, bad person and just worry about yourself and be selfish, but it's about filtering what matters. Oh, this person didn't really like how I was at that function. Am I going to see them ever again? Are they my employer? Are they going to affect me? Do they have some leverage? It is what it is. You have to be so content with who you are that the external BS just bounces off of you. And I live by that. So you see me out, I'm loud, I'm smiling, I'm cracking jokes. I got a big smile, so I let it shine. I'm goofy, I do funny stuff, but it's me. And if you're comfortable with you, once again, you win half the battle. So I think you just gotta be you. You gotta be the raw version of yourself, and you can't let the external stuff get to you.
Cool. All right. So the other side of that question is, what are you afraid of that you can control?
What can I control? I think the frequency of failure. And I have, once again, I have failed at lifts, job situations, interviews, social things and stuff like that. And I think you could almost control how often it comes along by just being prepared, time management, being proactive in things and stuff like that. So I think, and this is truly for me, like I failed classes because I didn't put in the work, or I quit sports because I let the adversity overcome me and I quit. So I think if you can tell yourself, don't quit, try again, do it again and again, almost never really fail. So I think controlling your will, controlling your drive, controlling just how bad you want it, you could control how frequently you fail. So I hope that kind of makes sense, but that's kind of how I feel. Kind of the shoes I put on every day, I think that's how I live.
Okay. My last question is this. So still a young man, you said about 25, right? All right. I'm going to find a 15-year-old boy to put in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs advice from you. The typical, what advice would you give to a 15-year-old boy growing up in this world now? What would you tell him? And you're just 10 years older than him. So you still probably have a pretty good memory of what it was like to be 15 and the time going through. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to that boy growing up?
Do what feels right. And here's what I mean by this. For all my young men out there, even if you're a couple years younger than me, or you're in high school, or you're in middle school, don't follow the hype. Don't follow going out, getting drunk, trying to have multiple relationships with multiple women and stuff like that, or flashing your money and stuff like that. Don't follow the hype. Because peer pressure, you can truly drown and lose yourself in it. And I've seen friends, but I had a disconnect with them because they lost themselves. So be true to you. Don't fall to the peer pressure, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I remember growing up in high school, my boys were losing their virginities left and right. And I was like, I had opportunities, but it didn't feel right. And it wasn't from some religious outlook or being celibate. I'm not big on religion or anything like that. It just morally didn't feel right. Even going out, people like, yo, come out. Oh, I got work tomorrow. Oh, it's all right. You just go to work tired. You'll drink an energy drink. No, I got responsibilities. I got to do what I got to do. Yeah, I'll live from time to time, but I don't follow the peer pressure. Even with drugs, don't fall for it. There's no light at the end of that tunnel. It's a very dark tunnel. And I've seen friends who are still smoking their weed to this day, or they got clean, they're doing their vapes and stuff like that. There's no winning. Don't follow the hype. Go against the grain. Be you, and you'll find out who's really there, who's really your boy, who's your day one, and you'll find that circle will get smaller. But at the end of the day, you are you. So I think that's what I would tell a young 15-year-old boy.
That's
Be
good
him,
advice.
go against that grain.
And that's good advice. And it would mean more, because I know we got a bunch of old men like me and we're saying, don't do this and don't do that. So it's kind of hard maybe to relate with somebody older. But somebody in your age group, that kid can, like, he knows what he's talking about. I can see him. He's successful. He looks good. He feels good. He sounds good, all that stuff. So that's great advice to give. And I thank you for that. And with that said, we have completed the P.R.I.Z.E conversation. So I know after listening to this, like, I need a trainer and I need you to train me. I need your words of wisdom.
Yeah.
How could people reach you, talk to you, follow you? Do you have any social media, website? Where can people holler at you and maybe join up with you?
So I have 2 Instagrams. So I have my personal Instagram. You guys are more welcome to follow it. King Name Drew. So KingNamedDrew. And then my fitness page is The Coach Drew. Fitness page, I'm not taking on any clients right now, but I do have a lot of footage of myself training, and I have a lot of tips and tricks and stuff that I post and stuff like that. So highly recommend that. But like I said, I want to help people. So if y'all got questions, hey, I heard you from Men on the Prize podcast, kind of ask you a question, I'm here. I'm here for y'all. So that'll be the two best ways to kind of reach out to me via social media.
All right. Your information will be in the episode notes. I know people will reach out to you. You are, like I mentioned, motivational. You are the type of person I feel like will help me, push me in the right way. I've had bad trainers before. I think people have had bad experiences, but somebody who I feel is genuine, and that's you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to hear that, and I hope people take advantage of it. So I end every episode. I love me a good quote. You've listened, you know that.
Yep.
My quote, and I know you somewhat pretty well, and I try to come up with a quote that I feel represents the person I'm talking to. Sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't. But what I was looking for, and I found this, Tim, what you think? A man too busy to take care of his health is like a mechanic too busy to take care of his tools.
Like that.
I feel like it represents a lot. You have to take care of everything. You have to take care of your body, but you got to take care here, and you definitely have to take care of inside. Your mind, body, soul. And I feel like that's what that quote is, that we got to take care of everything. And you have this body, it's been given to you, and you can do a lot with it. But if you don't take care of it, you're wasting it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. It was an honor. Maybe, in a few years, when you got your spot, maybe you engage, this fun stuff happening, we'll holler, we'll talk again. We can kind of come back with a call back and see where we stand. But I appreciate the time. Thank you to you. Thank you to all the listeners of the Men of the Prize podcast, where your inner monologue is revealed. You have a great night.